Hello, Nyy'zai of planet Earth. My name is Nyy'zai, and in today's episode we're going to be talking about spirit forms for the Nyy'zai. Now, spirit forms is a very complex topic to get into, so if you have not already, I would suggest taking a look at some of the other spirit form videos that are already out there, like on Pod Their Planet and stuff. But to put it in kind of a more simplified form, you could think of spirit forms as basically anything that affects you that is a part of natural law and thus affects you and the environment you're in or your inner workings, etc. But you cannot directly understand it, you can't directly see it, or you can't directly touch it. There are universal spirit forms that we're all being affected by, and there are also personal spirit forms that you have. And so right now we're going to be talking about some personal spirit forms. All mojos have what we call pod power spirit forms, but for you as a Nyy'zai, they're going to be unique to you. You have pod power spirit forms that relate to your Nyy'zai, Ji, and Vi. Also going to have what we call elevator of enlightenment spirit forms that involves what you think of as yourself consciously, as well as autonomous entities that exist in your psyche's unconscious. All humans have this, but they're going to be unique to you as a Nyy'zai. This relates to the elevator of enlightenment because we have what we call the ritual ladder. And these are basically the kind of rituals that are in a kind of step hierarchy that humans have to go through in order to develop themselves and just come through general life experience into becoming a heroic human. These rituals will be related to the universal rituals that all humans must experience, but they'll also be different for you because of your powers and what's momentum for you, what's modulation for you. And that's going to affect the variables of the rituals which make them unique to you. Now let's get into your pod power spirit forms. We already talked about pod powers as characters. Remember your possibility gatherer for your Ni? Well, that's a general reference to having Ni consciously. So all Ni users, including the ones who have Ni as modulation, they all have the possibility gatherer's character. So there's actually 8 possibility gatherer characters. Although yours is unique to you, you have a special possibility gatherer, and this is what we call the Spirit Labyrinth Creature. The Spirit Labyrinth Creature is the Ni pod power spirit form for the Nyy'zai. This is a very complex topic, and there's going to be a lot of filmings on this, but the short version is that it's going to be easier for you to get into your Ni when you imagine yourself as a character that's made out of it. And the Spirit Labyrinth Creature is just that. It's a creature that's made out of Ni and is native to using it as its elemental power. Next you have the power of Zai, but your specific pod power spirit form for Zai is the Covert Station Guardian. This relates to Zai being your second power. It's a momentum power, but it's in a unique position, which makes it the Covert Station Guardian, a special form of logic tower for the Nyy'zai. Next we have the power of Ji, which is your passion pilot. But for you as a Nyy'zai, then it's specifically the pod power spirit form of the tactical persuader. Then finally we have your Vi, which is your fact hunter, but for you specifically, it's going to be the high stakes brinksman or brinkswoman. This is a very particular form of polar Vi, but it's very special and very powerful when used. So all together we have the Spirit Labyrinth Creature, Covert Station Guardian, Tactical Persuader, and High Stakes Brinksman or Brinkswoman. Next, we have your elevator spirit forms. First, we have what we call the apparatus, which is basically what you think of as you. Now, every human has an apparatus, but for you as a Nyy'zai, then this is going to be made up primarily of your conscious powers, your Ni, Zai, Ji, and Vi. And this is going to be what you know of yourself. So these are going to be those 4 conscious powers and mainly weighted on the Ni and Zai. So your whole phenomena, your whole psyche, including all of the spirit forms that are within you, that's what you are, the all of you. But when you think of me, then that's actually the conscious portions of you, your Ni, Zai, Ji, and Vi. And that's what we mean when we say the apparatus. The apparatus interacts with the world, it thinks to itself, and it also goes in and communicates with the unconscious spirit forms. So it's the spirit form that basically acts as the intermediary. The Mazout spirit form is not you directly, but it's the you that you show to the rest of the world. There will always be a difference between what you know of yourself consciously, your apparatus, and the you that you're showing to the world, the Mazout. So for a Nyy'zai, that's going to have a lot to do with the SS index and other things that relate to bubbles, or basically how things are kind of already working or how they're expected to work just out in the world, and how your powers are being interpreted by that world. So because of that, there are ways of kind of doing things that would be most natively good for your peak pathway, and then there are also various workarounds, things that you may have to do in your life in order to make a place for yourself. Those workarounds and adjustments that you do to help make a place for your peak pathway, those are Mazouts. Your Mazouts are very important, and they're not meant to just kind of disguise your true self. It's meant to be a conduit for you to the world. But you and the world have to have kind of a negotiation between yourselves. And the Mazout that you form is that negotiation, that compromise between what you see of yourself and how the world interacts with you. Next is the Daryu. The Daryu has to do with things like emergency programming and difficult stuff that you don't feel like or you're not capable of dealing with, and therefore it's in the unconscious. The Daryu is the first unconscious spirit form. This is going to have a lot to do with your modulation powers, Ji and Vi, as well as your super modulators, Zhai and Vi. When those kinds of things come up, then your Daryu deals with what you're not able to take upon and deal with yourself. Although the more you can take up upon yourself, then the less the Daryu has to do for you, and the less you'll be possessed by it. So, for example, with the Nyy'zai, who's either not doing their modulation powers at all, or they're overdoing them to the point that they have basically given themselves over to their modulation powers. That's going to mean the Daryu has too much influence over your psyche. The proper influence is when you're using things like keening, for example, to teach you, to take you to smarter places. The Daryu is a good teacher, but it teaches you when you're going to places that are not good for you. So it's about emergency, it's about warning, it's about keeping you from danger. And then once you get into danger, then the Daryu is to get you out of it. Next is the Other. This is your metaphysical lover, your unconscious genius, your muse, and that's going to be the 4 powers that you don't have. And the Other can also come across as being like a creature or a being, or it also kind of can be a concept, like travel or adventure. But since you're a Nyy'zai, then it's going to be comprised of Nai, Zi, Zhai, and Vi. What you'll recognize most right away is going to be the Nai and Zi of your Other. Because those 2 powers are the most inspiring to your top 2 powers. Whenever the Nai and Zi are stimulated, it will give you a connection to your Other, your metaphysical lover. And that's basically how you make love to your other half, through communicating to it in a way that it understands. In the unconscious, it's not going to understand through the technical stuff. It'll understand through dialoguing with it in a spiritual, artistic, and personified way. Then finally, we have the Fumasta, which is basically you in your master form. This is going to be something that you're always trying to aspire to and to get more and more close to. You're never actually getting there, but always in a constant state of arriving there. As a Nyy'zai, this is going to relate to your composition relationships. So basically when your Ni and Vi are one, and your Zai and Zhai are one, and so on, to where the priorities in your conscious and unconscious are working together in perfect unity and perfect productive harmony. And it's being done in the storyline that favors you, and that's how it's supposed to go. But this is something that only works when you have all 8 of your powers going. So this is a very high level thing, and it takes mastery to do it, but that's what you were built for. All of that escalates to merging with the shiny baby. As a Nyy'zai, you have a complete package of just total purity and perfection and just total completeness that you can merge with and reboot yourself whenever you need. So you never lose your Nyy'zai-ness, no matter how lost or confused you get, or what the world does to you. You can always reboot your Nyy'zai nature or spirit, because the shiny baby will take you into its womb and you'll come back out all pure and loved once again. The other spirit forms we'll get into more later, but in short, you have the tribe of humanity, and this relates to all mojos with you being a Nyy'zai within the tribe of humanity. Then you have Gaia, which is the spirit form of the planet Earth and all of its biospheres, and that's very important to all mojos because As a Nyy'zai, you're going to have a very special relationship to Gaia because you're going to know it through the Nyy'zai storyline, which is a very special way of knowing something. Then you have the cosmos, which is the spirit form of the entire universe and beyond that made us. Then you have the spirit form of energy evolving. That's before the Big Bang, after the Big Bang, everything in between, and so on and so forth. As a Nyy'zai, you are part of energy evolving. You are one with the great energy evolving. So know yourself, grow yourself, and save the world, and you're definitely going to want to get in touch with your spirit forms to do all of those.